Welcome in this another session on rural marketing. I am Kumar Abhishek, and in this session we will cover the scope of rural marketing, followed by the transactions happening in rural marketing. We'll also see the role of external environment. In the end, we will cover a framework that is pestle analysis. With that, we're starting this session. So after end of this session, I expect our participants to understand the scope of rural marketing. They should identify the type of transactions happening with the rural marketing. They should acknowledge the role of external environment in this rural marketing field, and also understand and also have some basic idea of pestle analysis and how to use it. So first, starting with the scope of rural marketing. Rural marketing is becoming even more lucrative these days. People are talking of where people want to tap this rural market. There are many reasons behind it. The urban market is becoming saturated. The purchasing power of rural India is improving. Their behavior is also there. The cultural change is there. The technological intervention is there, which are bringing all those conducive environment for rural market to be very much productive for urban counterpart. So we will finally categorizing this into three parts, three major categories. One is the rural factors. So starting with the first point, that is the rural population. If we see that India is a country of villages, we have more of a rural population. Though their disposable income is low, but still the kind of contribution which they make in terms of quality and quantity is very much significant. Then comes the second point, that is the rural products and services. If we see the primary products which they are producing, such as agro-based products, food products, or even those handlooms or other products, even services which they are supporting to the urban area, such as construction and all those unskilled or semi-skilled labor. So this is also where the people are connecting to the urban part for their own livelihood, which is also bringing the transformation change in the culture and the social parameters of the villages. And then comes the third part, that is a change in rural consumers' behavior. Now people are using social media. People are using different platforms. The urban-rural divide in terms of consuming goods and services are coming low. People, thanks to media, are becoming even more aware, which is providing a great opportunity for the urban producers to have more market in rural area. That's why they are covering all these aspects to bring their products into the rural market. Then comes the second section, that is the urban factor. Here we will see the rising of disposable income of urban consumers. Now people are more curious. They are more looking for organic products. People are looking more for something less chemical or some quality premium products, because their disposable income is high. So that's how these things are changing. They are even ready to pay for premium products for a better quality. Where the second urban factor which I am saying is very much close to it. As people are becoming more aware of their health and other things, they prefer more organic products, they prefer more natural products, they prefer more nutritious products, more fresh products. So all these things are providing good opportunity for rural producers to match their expectations and have a good price of their produce by matching with the expectations of urban market or urban consumer. And the third factor is related to technology, rural entrepreneurship, and government policy. As we discussed earlier, that people are getting more used to social media, and nowadays to the online platforms for purchasing or buying other products. So, like earlier, we had a big gap between rural and urban telecommunication, which we used to call it rural-urban divide. But as we are moving ahead, this gap is filling up. Now, the rural people are using mobile as often as their urban counterpart. Now, even recently I visited a village and I was very surprised to see one of the leading online platform which are selling products in the rural area. I was really surprised to see that. So we may understand that how much these products from urban area are coming to rural area, how this rural market has been exploited by the urban manufacturers. Then comes the second point, that is the rural entrepreneurs. These are the catalysts, these entrepreneurs are catalysts who are transforming, providing better opportunities, producing better products, exploiting the best possible way to improve the productivity of the system. So in all these ways, they are producing a better prosper model for rural India. Whereas the third point is government policies. We must have came across something called ENAM or eChopal or AgMarkNet. So all these government policies which are enabling the rural people to come online through multiple interventions, even if it can be from any MNC or it can be from government or it can be from any government's department. But all these factors are finally culminating in improving the system, enabling the system to work in a way so that the people who are staying in the village will have a better opportunity to represent themselves or their product in the perfect, or we may say in a better platform. Now we will talk about the transactions. If we see that there are transactions from urban to rural, there are transactions rural to urban, and there are also transactions between two rural from part A, rural to part B. So we'll discuss all these kind of interactions, particular in way of products and services. So here, if we see that what rural products have been sent to the urban market, if we see that agricultural products such as wheat, paddy, any agricultural product which have been sent from rural to urban India, the handlooms, milk which they produce, all these things are coming from rural India. Whatever we are seeing these products in the urban market, it is coming from rural India. Then comes the second part, that is what the urban counterpart is providing to the rural part. It includes agricultural inputs such as pesticide, tractors, fertilizers, all those things are there. Then comes the FMCG products, the packed food. If we see that biscuits or snacks which are available there, the tea bags, all those things are coming from urban area. Then comes the medicine and electronic items. If they're using some mobile or they're using some medicine, so all these things are coming from urban part. Now comes the third part, that is rural to rural. Because as a market, we also acknowledge that the rural people also have some demand. So in that case, if suppose village A is producing paddy and village B is producing pulses, so they can have such kind of market or the local mela or local hearts to interact. They may also have their local made food products such as milk products, the sweets, the desserts which they produce. They can have their own USP which is highly demanded in local area, and also locally produced items such as tools and instruments which they produce. This transaction was way older than urban rural, because this started when the concept of rural was not even there. So there are still many unique and amazing things available in the rural market. I request our participants to visit a nearby local market or hart, especially the melas, and see the unique kind of products. Even you see old toys which were there in the market. While unfortunately these toys are lost their relevance, but we'll see also the old flutes which we used to play. So all these things are still relevant if we visit the local harts or melas. Coming to the very important part, that is service. Starting from the first segment, that is what rural people, rural market is supporting to urban counterpart. What kind of services have been provided from rural to urban, which includes unskilled workforce, semi-skilled workforce. Suppose if I'm a laborer who is working in a construction site, or I am a laborer working in agricultural field. If I'm an electrician or semi-skilled or skilled one, even in that case, if I'm staying in an area, or a carpenter, or any kind of such kind of semi-skilled or unskilled things. So the nearby urban area is a very good place for my employment, for a better remuneration. So that person who is going from rural to urban area for their employment is a very good example of this category. Then comes the second category, that is how urban counterpart is providing services to the rural people. This will include medical services, agriculture services, financial services, educational services. Taking some example will make it even more clear. Suppose if someone is not good, not feeling well, they may go to nearby urban hospital for a better medical facility, or even doctor who are coming to that area. That is also a good example, because many of the times we conduct camps and all those things, or even many kind of health related activities have been conducted in that village. Then comes the agricultural services. If some agricultural scientist is visiting that area, or some like irrigation department providing some better counseling facility. Then education services, those people who are coming to coming from urban area to rural, providing a better education facility in terms of coaching, or in terms of some other interventions where they improve the rural setup of education. Then comes the financial services, those banks or the machines which we see. These are like where the urban services have been provided. Even the ATM working in that area is a good example, because all those ATMs are working because they have the urban service provider who are taking care of the rural part. The bank officers staying in that area is a part of the same example. And if we see the concept of environment, now we are coming to the next part of our session, that is environment. According to Kit Davis, the environment is an aggregation of all conditions, events and influences that surround and affect it. If we see the simple example of environment, what environment is? Environment is something which is around us. It can be external environment, it can be internal. So if we take a very simple example of environment around us, is suppose that even if it's an environment that, like where I'm sitting right now, there's a light, there's a sun, there's like a sun rays coming up, there's a peace around me. So this is what environment is. So the same way, rural products also have an environment. So the rural market is how these elements are affecting the rural market. There must be some influence. There must be some positive, negative influence on the market. But how exactly it is happening? And to predict these things, to make our rural marketing even more strong, more predictable, more controlled, we need to have an understanding of how these things are working out. Therefore, we will use a pestle analysis. I hope few of us definitely have came across this pestle analysis. So this pestle analysis is a very important framework, it is an important tool to understand the possible external environment around that local market, that rural market. And we'll see how these elements are influencing the rural marketing. Starting from the first alphabet of pestle, we have 6 alphabets here in the pestle, and every alphabet is connoting something. Such as starting from the P, the first P which we have is P, it's for political. If suppose a state or a rural area is having a very dedicated leadership in terms of Panchayati Raj or the state government, so the kind of stability is there in rural political structure, the kind of commitment, the kind of dedication if they have a very conducive environment. At the same time, if you imagine a village where people do not have trust on the local leader, the Panchayati Raj institution, in that case there will be some kind of havoc because people won't trust, the trust factor is not there, they won't be able to work in a very cooperative way. There must be some conflicts which will affect the productivity of rural area. Just take an example of a state or a country who is facing civil war or has recently faced a war, or having some kind of political instability. Their first impact is on their economy, because their share will fall, the kind of share market which they have will fall, because people won't have much trust on their local leadership, their leadership. So in the same way, if we see the local of our rural political system is not very different. Even here, if suppose you are an investor or an entrepreneur, will you prefer a village having a bad kind of Panchayati Raj indicators, or will you prefer a village which is having a good political stability, good leadership, people's involvement in leadership, transparency, or something even more attractive for an investor? So which kind of political structure will you go for? I think you will surely go for something called more politically stable environment. Now comes the second part, that is economical. Here we will explain it with an example here. Suppose if we remember recently we have seen many recessions in 2009. Of course, these political economical parameters will definitely affect the market, because that will change the purchasing power of people, that will change the employability profile of people, that will change the economic security of people, possibilities of employment, and all these things are coming to the picture. It suddenly affects the behavior of rural market. Even if I am a buyer or seller, both of them will definitely see. In recent time, I think most of us have acknowledged it in the time of COVID. If we see even in our personal life how we are going, how things have changed. Even economically, those people who lost their employment and all those things, how their economic crisis has triggered the change in the local economy. That's how the environment, economical factor is very important. Then comes the third part, that is social. Somehow, somewhere, some of the elements look very similar, such as social and political look much similar, but it is not always that. There are at some places they may overlap, such as where the political and social structure are very same, where the people socially integrated in a way that it also affects, it is very close to what their political aspiration is. But please try to identify the beauty of social element, because sometimes it can be confusing. So in this social thing, people having their own social structure. If suppose if I'm staying in an area where the gender gap is too much, then the marketing behavior will be different. If suppose if I'm staying in a place where the women are very much active, or the gender biasness or the caste based differentia is low, there the market will be equally accessible to all. There won't be much of profile based market in that area. At the same time, if we see a gender based kind of difference in an area, we won't see much of women related products in the market or women related entrepreneurs in the market, even if they have capacity to prove their worth in the regular world. But they won't, because their society won't allow them to come out and work. At the same time, imagine another village where the women are working, the gender gap is low or the caste based gap is low. Whoever have capacity to perform or to earn their livelihood in a better way, they will definitely do. That's why the social construct also plays a very important role in affecting the environment in this rural marketing. Now we'll come to the fourth part, that is technological. Technology has brought a great impact on our regular life. Did we ever imagine that the kind of penetration mobile technology and telecom has brought to India has transformed so many aspects of rural India? The kind of divide was there. If you remember the era when the people were using some radio or something, which was also a very kind of prestigious thing, the one who was owning it. But if you go now to any village, you will definitely see the latest smartphone, at least in half of the youth living in that area. So the kind of advertisements are there in those social media or on those apps which they are using is making their aspiration as per urban area, a urban setup, not the rural one. So this is creating a kind of social transformation is there, because the person is aspiring for something which may not be available in that area also. So but his aspirations, his like choice of movies, the choice of news, the choice of songs is not as per the local thing. So many of the, if we see that technology has brought a lot more of change. Even if we talk about the financial inclusion, the ATM machines, the fintech, all those things have really brought many of the positive and negative things to our rural market. So technology has brought a lot more things. If we think many of the things, I think it is there. Like if we see that how the GIS has changed the local policy making and monitoring, it is very good. And we'll see also in the Panchayati Raj institution, monitoring and evaluation, technology also playing a very important role. The real-time assessment of anything is there online. If we remember our billing, which we see that earlier the electricity department used to have a proper bill and all those things were there. But now you can see how the real-time billing is there, how the fast billing system is, how there is no flaw of any mistake is there. The mistake has minimized, the real-time impact assessment is there, and the real-time data transfer is there, which makes the system even more transparent and effective. And now we are coming to one important part, that is environmental. It is a very important part because nowadays, especially in the COVID situation, we can breathe free air. We can understand how important the environmental factor is for marketing. If suppose I am producing a product X which is having a higher impact on environment, there's one term I request our participants must visit: environment impact assessment. There's a EIA for every product, that if suppose a product is there, what environment impact this product is creating from the manufacturing till the time of its last use, and even after it's been dumped, what impact it is putting on the environment. So coming to our example, suppose if I am producing a product which is having a high environmental impact, that will not be preferred much by the consumers if they are sensible enough to understand the environmental impact. If suppose some environmental disaster is happening, that market will be distorted. If some environment related changes are happening in this COVID situation is one of the best example. Entire market is distorted, not only in India, not only in rural setup, but global market is affected. Nothing can be a best example than this COVID situation. In this way, we can understand how environmental impact has brought. Environmental impact has brought a lot more things in the past. We had migrations, we had seen massacres, we had seen many of the civilizations wiping out from the history of human existence on this earth. All the floods, Mohenjo-daro, the entire civilization was lost. Or the many examples. If we come to that example, we can have a long session on it. But there are examples where this environmental impact have brought complete transformation overnight to human civilization. In the similar way, it will also affect the rural marketing, because rural marketing is a very small part if we see the human civilization kind of thing, the bigger picture. So the environment is a very important fact. Now comes the last part, that is legal. Here we also get confused, the legal with the political, because they have very kind of common connotations. But we must understand what legal mean. Political was more related to political stability, more related to leadership. But legal is something which is related to the policy, the law, the governing statute of that area, which brings faith or which demotivates the market elements. These are something related to legal aspect, which is the last alphabet of PESTLE. So if we remember that GST recently, which we have seen, a lot more chaos was in the market because of some other elements. People are having different versions of GST. So that's why the legal changes in central or state governance, or even in the local area, if they have their own some kind of legislation or some kind of policy, that will also affect the rural market. If suppose nowadays, if in this COVID situation, government is promoting MSMEs, that is a policy. Government is bringing some transformation, some amendment in MSMEs law to enable these MSMEs working well. Coming like MSME, if those who do not have much of understanding of it, MSME is something called cottage industry, which we see micro, small and medium sized entrepreneurs who are more in rural or semi-urban area, or even we have in the urban setup. So how these legal elements are coming to the picture, it is which we can see that now as government is enabling this MSMEs, so the more we expect more MSMEs coming into the market, will promote more local products. And how this rural marketing has become even more important, this is one of the reasons, because now the complete transformation is there in MSME sector. We have more subsidies, we have more relaxation on tax, we have more support system coming from the government based on different schemes or different policies. All these things are enabling the rural marketing, promoting the rural producers to come up with their products for the urban or the rural products, or even for the global thing. So that's how this external environment enable the complete rural marketing. If we go to the nearby area, or if any incidents is coming into our mind, I request our participants to document it and discuss this in our session, in the classroom sessions. So coming to the last part of our session, that what we covered in this video lecture. So we covered the scope of rural marketing, followed by the type of transactions in which we saw the products and services, and the rural, urban, rural and urban, rural, three kind of interaction in two categories, that is service and the product related. Then we saw the definition of environment. Then we extensively discussed the role of PESTLE and how it affects. With that, thank you for being with me in this session.